I've actually just seen a demo of Dead Island. I think a lot of people have seen the trailer, but I've seen the game in action, and it's really a nice take on the whole zombie genre, because the zombie genre has just blown up in the last few years, and there's so many zombie games out there. What are you trying to do different from, say, what's on the market right now?
Well, first of all, we want a zombie game with a serious story, when you can actually get into it and follow the story of the characters that we are playing. We have first-person melee combat. This is something that makes this experience much more immersive and interesting. Well, and of course we have the island that's actually in the title. It's something that's an underlying idea for the whole game. A paradise goes wrong, and you have zombies in a place that's so absolutely unlikely for it. It's an interesting background, and we want to exploit it because an island like this would be a very diverse and interesting environment. And then you have blood, you have zombies, you have the apocalypse essentially.
The first-person melee thing is something that I'm interested in, because it's hard to get it right. I mean, some games have tried it, but it's just a little bit difficult to get the right sense of depth and feel and how to use it. Could you tell us through a little bit how you've handled that and what you're trying to achieve?
Well, first of all, we have a lot of variety in weapons. You saw that we have the melee objects. Essentially, you can pick up almost anything and use as a weapon. Then you have the more specialized stuff like machetes, knives and axes. So there's quite a lot of potential there. Then you have upgrades. You can upgrade your weapons, you can modify them, you can create your own. And of course, on top of that, it's the actual melee combat system, the controls, the animations that you do. And by developing your character, by buying skills off the skill tree, you actually get more moves, you get better things to do, you get active skills, you get passive bonuses. So your character develops. You start as this regular, tourist, just caught up in this zombie outbreak, and you end up as a real, badass killing machine.
Because that's one of the parts that I really like when I looked at it, I was really interested about, is the fact that it's an RPG. Right, and there's a skill progression, and you actually have different classes as well. Could you talk us through a little bit about the RPG components?
Well, calling the game as such as an RPG would be a little bit too much, but we do call it a zombie slasher action RPG because it does have RPG elements. You can develop your character, you get experience, you level up, you buy new skills, which are not only just stats, but as I said, new animations, new moves that you can actually do, something that you didn't see before. And well, you complete quests. The story is very important. This is also part of the RPG legacy that we can see in here. This is also something that we want to make visible by those character classes. You have 4 characters. You saw Sam B. He's our tank character. He's powerful, he deals damage, he can take a lot of damage. He might be a little slower than other classes because we will have the assassin class, we will have the leader class, for example. You will see them later on. Those are all different characters. They have different faces, different names, and they have the unique skills that make them play differently and offer something else to the players, which of course works best in co-op when you have 4 players playing it.
Do they each have different stories, or is there one main story that all these characters follow?
They follow one main storyline, but they have some little tidbits that are unique to them. They have their own perspective, and they have a different personality. You can see that from the comments that they make, from the way they play, and of course the major difference would be in the gameplay.
But you mentioned the cooperative mode there, and I think 4-player co-op, drop in, drop out. That's a very interesting take on it, and I really like the fact that you can jump into someone else's campaign at any point. Why did you decide to go with that?
This is something that really annoys many people with campaigns and co-op, that you have to actually start a separate session. You have a lobby, you have to wait, then it loads, and then someone decides to disconnect or doesn't have the time to continue, and your game is messed up. Or you just join in and cooperate, but you're not really the main character because you're just helping. This is not the case here. Every character is the hero of their game, they just join their sessions simultaneously, getting into the same, let's say, common island. But whenever something happens, when one person drops out, disconnects, has a problem, has to go, whatever, nobody loses any progress. No one has to restart anything. It just happens like that.
So I actually saw the game like 4 years ago at Games Convention, and it's been sort of, we haven't heard anything since then. Could you tell us a little bit about how the development has been and when you started to ramp it up again?
When the game that you were seeing in 2010 Games Convention, it was one of the prototypes of the island. We were working on it in small separate teams, trying different stuff, seeing what works. And the pre-production was really long for the game. And finally we had to merge the best ideas that we had and finally decide on the final shape of the game, and then we started working on it. But still we couldn't talk about it because we decided that it would be best to come back with a bang, and that's what we did with the trailer. I hope it worked.
I think it did. And speaking of the trailer, could you just what did it feel like when it just blew up on the internet, and could you tell us a little bit of how it connects to the game, what happened in the trailer?
The trailer is showing the first night of the zombie outbreak. This is how the events in the game actually begin. When you're in this beautiful island on vacation, that's what the characters really have going, and suddenly all hell breaks loose, people start fighting each other, and the family that you can see in the trailer is just caught up in those events, and well, they die. But you get out, the characters that you play manage to get out somehow, and they have to deal with the hell that's actually happened out there. So this is more about the mood and feel of the zombie apocalypse. No one is safe, everyone is affected somehow, and you just have to survive.
And could you describe what went on in the office when it started to blow up on the internet, the trailer, and everyone got excited?
Well, for the first few hours we were very enthusiastic, but then it got really out of hand, and we were just, we are now very much aware of the responsibility that we have, of the expectations that the player have. It's a humbling experience, to actually face the internet like that, and we were working hard to make it worth the wait. We hope it will work for the players.
Sometimes this fall? It will be out?
I didn't say fall, we just say 2011. That's the official line right now.
Well, I hope to see it soon. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for coming to see the game.